What's up? I'm pumped to have this conversation with you because we just navigated this and I feel like we nailed it. I feel like we did really good with traveling with a toddler, and I have so many good tips for this, and also like a couple things I would possibly change for next time. So we're talking all things travel toddler tips. For context, this is our first time traveling with her, so like I am no expert in traveling with a toddler. Am like, I guess I would say, expert in traveling in general. I've traveled like all over the world. I traveled so much over the course of my life, but this was the first time that we've traveled since having Madison, who at the time of this recording is 20 months. 20 months? 20, yeah, 20 months. I'm like, wait, how old is she? Yeah, she's 20 months. Once you get like after a year and a half, I'm like, how many months is she? But anyway, so we went to Florida, so we didn't go that far, right? So this wasn't for like a really, really long flight. We're from New York, and it was about like a 2.5, close to actually 3 hour flight to go to Southern Florida. So it was about a 3 hour flight on the way there and a little less on the way back. So it wasn't like, an extensive amount of time, but I'm not only going to talk about tips for like the actual flight, but also talk about tips for the airport, as well as like the actual stay, like whenever you get to where you're going. So we're just going to jump right into it. So first thing is really like needing to just let go of the fear of it not going well or other people judging you, because like it could be really like nerve-wracking to think about like, oh my god, what if she starts like screaming on the plane, and what if she just like doesn't sit down and people are staring and people are judging and da 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 da. And like that might happen. That isn't what happened with us, but doesn't mean it might in the future. That absolutely can happen. So like you just have to really like regulate and center yourself heading into the experience, because our kids always feed off of our energy. And we also like prepped her for it. We're like, we're going to the airport. We're going to, see a whole bunch of people. We're going to be on an airplane together, and you're going to have to sit with mommy and daddy. Like they understand everything. And like, I truly believe the more that you prep them for things ahead of time, the better it's going to be. And just making like a fun, exciting experience, not being like, okay, and like rushing around and being like crazy. Like they feed off of that energy. So just having like a nice time, like giving yourself plenty of time to like get there, do the things, like have everything packed and prepared, and like feel like you're set up for success, because that's going to make it a lot easier for you to feel calm, for you to feel regulated, and that's going to transfer on to them 100%. So like I did my workout in the morning, I did a meditation, I had my plant people, like what are they called? Wonder gummies, which is like they're, I think they're the relax. Are they called the relax ones? I'm obsessed with them. I recently started using them, and they have L-theanine in it, ashwagandha, really relaxing herbs. There's no CBD in it. There's no like THC or anything like that. I really, really love them. I'll put the link in the show notes for you if you're interested in them. But anyway, took that like ready to rock. So really setting yourself up for success and not feeling like you have to do shit last minute that day. You're rushing, you're dysregulated, because that's just going to set all of you up for a not a good time. So that's like my number one tip. And like part of that is also like when you're packing, making sure you have things like readily available, and like having we had like a certain carry-on that was like just Madison stuff, like diapers for the flight, wipes, her toys, her snacks, like all that stuff, so I could like easily get to all her things. And then like I had a separate carry-on for like my stuff. So really setting yourself up for success is going to be huge. So that's number one. The second major thing is trying as best as possible to fly during their nap time. On the way down there, it wasn't possible. So she was awake the entire flight, and it was fine. Like I don't talk about what we did. And honestly, it was fine. But the way back, she slept literally before we even took off. She passed out, and she slept until we were like at the gate, like the entire time. Granted, she wasn't feeling good because she got sick at the end, which was like the first time she ever was sick like this. And I'll talk about that too. But that was game changing because I was able to rest and relax. Like it was so nice. So doing your best to try and get it as close to nap time as possible is going to be so huge and make it so much easier for you. So when you can do that, I would definitely prioritize that. And then for like in the airport, before you even get to like get on the actual plane, the biggest, actually, this was also helpful for me on the plane when she was sleeping, because I just kept her in the carrier. And then also while we were there, I walked around with her with this in the parks. We went to Disney World. That's how she fell asleep for some naps when we were on the beach. Like this would be the number one product to bring with you is the Mabe carrier. I was always someone that loved, like, I just love wearing her. And I don't do it as much often because, as much as I used to, because she's just bigger now. But when she's a baby, I always had her in my Solly baby wrap and I loved it so much. But once they get a little bit bigger, the Solly wrap like that, it's just was not supportive for me to have her in there. I needed something a little bit more structured, but I tried so many different ones. I tried the Ergo baby. I tried these ones from Amazon that were cheap. And like, I bought probably 3 or 4 that I literally never used. I never returned. So a complete waste of money until I finally was like, okay, let me just get this Mabe carrier. It's like a little over $100. So it's more of an investment than just like, other ones, but it's worth it because I actually use it. It's so comfortable. It doesn't kill my back. I love it. And I'm like a small person. I'm almost 5'2". So like I'm tiny. And so like I need something with a lot of structure because she's like 25, 26 pounds. She's pretty tall for her age. Like I need something that's going to really hold her in well and not kill my shoulders and kill my back. So what we did in the airport was I carried her in the carrier through security. They didn't even have me clip her or anything. Walked right through security with her through the entire time as we're checking our luggage. Like she was in the carrier from the time we stepped into the airport until we got to our gate. And then I had her like run around and stuff to like get energy out. But that was so easy. I didn't have to worry about her running around, having to redirect her. Where's my luggage? Where's her? Da-da-da. I just held her in the carrier the entire time. And then we also brought stroller, the Bombi stroller. Oh my God, this is the other thing. Like I'm up like if you have a toddler, you need this stroller. Like purchase it immediately after this episode. It is the best. It is so light. I have the Nuna stroller. That's what we used from like when she was an infant until I recently switched to the Bombi one. And I love the Nuna one. Like I'm always going to use that one when if I have another child with it, like, when you need the infant carrier to snap in it and stuff. And they obviously have a seat for toddlers too, but it's just a much bigger, bulkier stroller with like a bigger undercarriage and stuff like that. This is way tinier, sleeker, but it is so light. It folds up. You press one button. I do it one-handed, holding Madison. Fold it up one-handed. It clicks right all in. You pick it up. You could put it. It's super light. It's so, I'm obsessed with it. Like you have to check it out. I'm so obsessed with it. So that was game-changing stroller to bring. And you could check 2 pieces of luggage for free with the baby. So we checked the car seat. I got this like backpack bag that Chris wore in the airport for her car seat that we brought with us. Cause like I was going to rent a car seat, but I'm like, I really don't want to do that. I want to just bring her own car seat. So it's like a backpack that you wear the car seat in. And we just checked that right away with our luggage as soon as we got to the airport. And then we brought the stroller all the way to the gate with us because we were able to just like put stuff in there, like put our carry-ons in there because I always had her in the carrier. So it was just a lot easier to like navigate through the airport instead of carrying everything if we had that stroller with us. And then we just checked the stroller right at the gate, like as you're walking onto the plane. So definitely recommend doing that. And it's so light, so awesome for travel when you're wherever you are, like going in and out of cars and just like in the parks for Disney. It was just the absolute best. So those are 2 things I would highly recommend doing. And then when we actually like got through security, did all the things, like got to our gate, I let her down and we just like let her run around, like get energy out, run around, do whatever she needs to do. Like she was a little hungry. I was trying to hold off on feeding her till the plane said something to do. So I would like give her a little food, but I would like saving a lot of it for the actual flight because I knew she was going to be up the whole time because it wasn't a nap time. And so that's another tip, like bring a lot of snacks. I'll talk about what I brought, but we just let her like run around the gate, get that energy out. And then this was a tip from my sister who has 2 kids. She's traveled with them a bunch. I changed her diaper right before going on the flight and put on an overnight diaper because I'm like, I do not want to change her diaper. First of all, you're not allowed to change them technically, like in the actual seat. And I'm like, I do not want to change her in the fucking airport, not airport, in the airplane toilet bowl. Like I do not want to have to do that. So put an overnight diaper on her and just like prayed she didn't poop, which she didn't. And I'm like, in case she pees a ton, so I was giving her a lot of water to hydrate her because you want to hydrate yourself, you want to hydrate them while you're flying. Like that was such a great idea. So she wasn't leaking and I didn't have to change her. So overnight diaper for the win. We use the overnight Honest diapers, and the regular diapers we use are the healthy baby diapers. They're the only EWG, Environmental Working Group certified diaper brand. Love them so much. I'll put all the links to these things I'm talking about, the Maid carrier, the Bombi stroller, the diapers, all that. I have codes for these. We'll put them in the show notes for you to get your discounts and stuff. But overnight diaper right before going on the flight was huge. And then we got on we flew JetBlue on the way down, so like our seats were already picked, so we were the last people on. Technically you're allowed to go on like right away when you have a baby, like well, they do for Southwest. It's different, like with boarding. Southwest, we flew home and they have different like groups of boarding, group A, group B, whatever. If you have a child, you're able to go on sooner. And since you don't have assigned seats for Southwest, we had to kind of go on as early as possible to make sure that we got seats together and we had some overhead bin space. So we had to go on earlier than like I wanted to, but she was so tired anyway, and she fell asleep. So it didn't even matter that we were on earlier. But with JetBlue, we already had our, seats like picked out. So I'm like, let's go on as literally the last people. So she's on the plane the least amount of time. So that was really helpful too. And then when we were on the flight, snacks. Like these are like, I'll talk about the things that we had in the specific carry-on that was just for Madison. Ton of snacks. The Once Upon a Farm and the Amara are my favorite snacks. So I love the Once Upon a Farm tractor wheels. We call them cookies for her, but they're just like little tractor wheels of like oats and vegetables and fruits. So good. They're obviously all organic, all whole foods, zero sugar. Like you already know the vibe around here. So those tractor wheels she loves. She calls them Tukis. So cute. The Once Upon a Farm plant-based melts. They're like coconut yogurt and fruits, and that fruits, sometimes the vegetables too, and also the Amara melt I love as well. Obviously all plant-based also. And then Once Upon a Farm has bars too that are like bigger, like oat bars. Again, they're oat-based, fruits, vegetables, no sugar. They'll have like dates in it for sweetness. So good. She loves them. So we had a lot of those. Her puffs. So the is it Once Upon a Farm or Amara? No, it's Once Upon a Farm puffs. They have like sweet potato puffs and just like all these different ones. She loves that. And I brought on there. We have like a travel snack like container. So like you could put the puffs in there and the melts in there. They don't go flying out, but they could like go in and get them themselves. So brought that on the plane with her as well. Brought in her carry-on a couple extra diapers just in case, wipes, her diaper cream, the whole thing. Bib, we brought, she doesn't use a nippy unless she's napping, but I always had it there just in case. Anyway, some of her favorite stuffed animals we brought with us, and we brought them on the plane as well. She didn't even end up really using them, but they were there. And then she has like, so that was it really food wise. Did I bring her actual lunch? Oh, we had actual lunch that I got from a health food store around me. It's called Cornucopia. It was, or did I make her a wrap? No, yeah, it was like a macro bowl, and it was like quinoa, chickpeas, all this stuff. We ate that before the flight. So I brought mine on the plane too, and then she ended up having some of mine too. So that was like, food is always going to be a great distraction for kids. So that was really helpful. And then the other types of like toys I brought on there, because she doesn't use screens. We just started having her like watch TV once in a while. Literally pretty much started on this trip, like in the hotel when we were trying to get ready. I put on like a Bluey episode or something, but like she doesn't use an iPad. She doesn't use our phones. Sometimes now she'll she uses our phone if like we're FaceTiming my parents who aren't like up living by us right now for the winter, but no like screen time for videos or like iPad or stuff like that. So we brought on there different toys. So we brought what they're called? It's like the Crayola markers, but like they only do the color on the actual page. Like if you draw on anything else, it's just clear, because I would have markers all over my walls if it was just regular markers. But those are the best. They come with markers with like, you just buy it. I'll link it below. I get them on Amazon. They also have them in Target and stuff too. They have them all over. I think they even have them in Home Depot. But it's just like they have different characters. You can get Mickey and Minnie ones. So we have Mickey and Minnie ones. We have the princesses. We have Bluey ones. We have Frozen ones. Like they're the best because they could color all over the place. Doesn't get on anything. So I don't have to worry. I don't have to monitor it. She could just like go crazy. She loves doing that. So that was huge to bring. Indestructible books. She loves reading. Well, she can't really read, but she loves when we read to her, but she also like pretends she's reading, and they're indestructible. So when she was in her phase of eating books, literally, these were huge, but these are also great for travel because they're so thin. They're extremely, extremely thin. They're packed really easily, and they're indestructible. You could wash them. They can't rip. They can't eat them. Like they're the best. So I have a ton of them off of Amazon. We'll link some of them below too. Maybe I'll just do a whole like Amazon list for all of these things. Either way, check the show notes. Everything will be in there. So we had a bunch of those. She also has like my old Lululemon, like fanny pack, crossbody bag, whatever the people call it nowadays. Used to call it fanny pack. I don't know what people call it nowadays. But anyway, she always sees that like we all have bags. So she wanted a bag. So she has this bag now. She has like one of my old chapsticks in there. She has an old DVD remote and like she has two different old little remotes in that she uses, like pretends to use as a phone. She has a little compact mirror in there that she got when she got her ears pierced. And so this is just like, she loves it. She loves opening and closing the zipper. She was pretending to put her chapstick on. She was pretending to talk on the phone. So we brought that, and that occupied her for a while. But honestly, the thing that occupied her the most, almost the entire flight, she barely played with all the other stuff, a little bit, but not for long stretches, was a water bottle, an empty water bottle. I got smart water. Obviously, you can't bring water through security, except you can bring babies. So I'll get to that in a second. But I got smart water when I was there, and then I like pour it into my like Awala water bottle that I bring. I always bring like a water bottle with me when I'm traveling. I have a separate podcast episode on just like travel tips and remaining hormonally balanced, not kid related. I'll link that below. So we had an empty, big, smart water bottle. Loved it. Took off the top, on and off, pretending to drink it, putting around. Almost the entire flight, literally just played with this water bottle. I'm like, whatever works, kid. I go for it. I'm good. Like whatever you want to do. So that was super helpful. And because it was her first flight, technically, because she's under 2, we didn't have to buy her a seat because she's an infant. She could just stay on my lap. But it was a 3 seats across flight. And I'm like, it was our first flight flying with her. Like, I don't want to be stuck with just like a random person in our row. What if she's going crazy? I'm like, I'm just going to buy her a seat so we have extra room. So if you're able to do that, and it's like, if it was just probably like just 2 seats across, like a flight with just 2 seats, I wouldn't have. But since it was 3, I'm like, I really just want to do that. And it was awesome, especially because again, it wasn't during a nap time. So I knew she was going to be awake. So like she was in the middle and me and Chris were on the, outsides of her. So she pretty much just stood on the floor, like in between us the entire time. She would like climb up the seat, go down the seat, da da da. But that way she was able to move around. If like she had to be like stuck sitting, because otherwise we would have had to like walk up and down the rows, which is fine. There were some parents doing that with their kids, but that was really great. If you're able to do that, that was super helpful. So those are the tips for on a flight. Oh, and also I was nervous about her ears popping. So I'm still currently nursing. I'm like, okay, I'll just nurse her on takeoff and landing. Because she's a little bit older now, she's 20 months, like I said, we mainly only nurse in the morning and at night, like before bed, and then sometimes after her afternoon nap. But she'll usually like take it if I was to offer it to her. Of course, she wanted nothing to do with it for takeoff. And I'm like, fuck, like, are you kidding? I'm like, come on, I want to make sure you're swallowing so your ears don't, like get clogged up or whatever. But she did not want to nurse. I'm like, okay. So I had her water bottle, which you are allowed to bring water through if it's for a baby. You're also allowed to bring milk through, and you're allowed to bring a cooler through with like ice and stuff, and like for milk for your baby. So know that you could do that. And I wanted to bring like our filtered water through. And so I had like 2 of her water bottles filled up, and like I just told them like, hey, this is for her. And they just like tested the water, and that was it. So instead of her nursing, I just gave her a bunch of water because again, I wanted her to be hydrated anyway. So she was still swallowing on takeoff and landing, and she was fine. She didn't cry at all. There was like no issues with her ears whatsoever for takeoff or landing. It was totally fine. So that's something you can have them do, even if it's just like eating or swallowing water. You just want them to swallow to make sure that their ears are popping if they need to. So that really helped for her while we were on the actual flight. And then again, right away, once the flight landed, I put on the carrier, the maid carrier, put her right back in it. And then I wore her all the way through until we went to the rental car, and then, put the car seat in, got her in there, and then we were good to go. So that was like what really helped us with the actual like flight stuff. And the one thing again, I would change is I would aim to do it during nap time, because on the way there we did it. It was still fine. Like she did fine, but it was just obviously easier if they're sleeping. So that was the tips for like the actual airport. And now for like actual traveling, like things that I bring with me for her that were really useful and really helpful, and something that I didn't bring that now I will always bring with me. So first things first, packing cubes. Like because she's little, she doesn't have her own suitcase. I'm just like putting her in my big suitcase. And it was so easy having to like, instead of having to sift through everything, you know how like disorganized your fucking suitcase could get, especially if you're packing like where it's your stuff and baby stuff in there. You're like, oh my God, it just could get such a mess. So I got these packing cubes on Amazon. We'll link that below too. I will never travel another way. And because we were also going 2 different locations. So we were going to West Palm Beach. We went to West Palm Beach where my parents are for the winter, and their like we were obviously going to the beach, doing like 12 different things. And then we drove up to Disney World. So I had different cubes for like, okay, this are our clothes for West Palm Beach. These are our clothes for Disney. Different cubes. These were her cubes. These were mine. So like it was easy for me to get in and out and like, oh, this is a pajama cube. Like these are socks and like underwear cube. Like it was the best. So highly recommend. It also comes with like a hamper for it. It was so awesome. So that was huge for like packing my actual bag. And then just random things I brought for her of like just in case stuff. Teething drops, the Boiron Camila teething drops. This child has been teething since she's 4 months old, on and off, literally almost all the time. She just went through another big spurt of teething. It's just recently gotten better, but I knew I was going to need some. So I brought a ton of teething drops. She didn't actually even need that many, which is great, but I bought a whole box just in case. I brought the Little Remedies fever reducer just in case she's going to get a fever. I'm like, I don't want to have to give her Tylenol or something if I'm not able to access like the natural remedies that I want. So I brought that with me. Didn't have to use it, but I'd rather bring it and not have to use it. The Boiron Cold Calm Drops. I love those. I brought that with me as well. I brought Band-Aids. We did have to use that because toddler life in shorts. She's falling all the time. So Mickey Band-Aids, brought those with us. The one thing that I will bring next time that I didn't bring was our thermometer, because at the end of the trip, the last day, literally the last day, it was the night before our last day. Thankfully, we weren't going to any Disney parks or anything that day. It was just like a chill pool day. Madison threw up at night. Chris was throwing up. Like they had a stomach bug. First time ever that Madison was sick like that. And like, obviously she's a baby. They can't tell you like, hey, I'm going to throw up. So it's just like, throw up all over me, all over the bed. Like it was an experience. Okay. And I was like, thought I was going to escape it. I'm like, I'm not going to get it. My immune system is kicking ass. I'm like, my child literally is throwing up on me. How am I not going to get it? I eventually did get it though. Thank God I didn't get it the next day because we were traveling home, but I got it the following day. But anyway, so she obviously threw up. She threw up all over her pajamas, all over my clothes, all over this. And I'm like, I'm not going to, I don't want to travel home with throw up smelling clothes in my bag. So thankfully, I brought with me Messy Mouth Stain Remover. It's like a little spray, Messy Mouth Stain Remover. I'll put it again below. It's obviously non-toxic. And they have detergent sheets. So glad I brought this. People are like, you're such an overpacker. I'm like, yeah, I am, but I'm so glad because this came so handy. So at the Disney hotel we're staying at the Art of Animation, they have, at like most hotels have this, but they have a laundry room. Ideally, I wouldn't be using, just like a random laundry room like that, but they were so clean. I obviously rewashed them once I got home, but I was so glad that I had detergent sheets to wash her stuff in because I needed it for that night. First of all, I was like, I only brought one sleep sack. I brought a bunch of pajamas, but they were already also dirty. We're on the last night. I'm like, okay, and her blankets, all over her blankets. I'm like, oh my God. So I was able to wash her stuff that she needed for that night while we were there in detergent that was safe, non-toxic, no scent, all that stuff, because I brought that with me. So that was huge. I will always bring that with me. But that night before, I know she had a slight fever. Like, your mom, you could just tell. I just know from feeling her, she was warm. And for me, I won't give fever reducer until it's like 102 or like a little higher than that. Over that, then I will, because it's really dangerous for it to get too high. But if it's just like 100 or 101, I just let it ride because you want your body to be fighting that off. And that's your body's way of fighting things off. But I didn't have my thermometer to really check, but I could tell like that she wasn't that warm. But I wish I did have my thermometer to just like check it. So I'm definitely going to bring that next time. So that's something else to like throw in there. And I have this like little like packing pouch where I put all this type of stuff in there, just like the just in case kind of stuff. And then I also brought our dish soap that we use, like the Ecos brand, and I use the Attitude one too. Dish soap. I brought it in like a little container because, like I said, I had like her little travel snack container and her water bottles that I needed to wash while we were there. And we stayed in an Airbnb in West Palm, and then I just like washed in the hotel sink, like bathroom sink, when we were in Disney. And I brought like, a bottle brush and like a little container to like a quote unquote drying rack. I don't even think it's on Amazon anymore. My sister had it from years ago when she bought it with her daughter. If I do find it on Amazon, I'll link it below, but it was game changing to just be able to like wash her stuff, have the soap that I want to wash it so she could have clean water bottles. So brought that. And then, all her supplements. Obviously I brought her vitamin D, which is the same one we take, which is the Gut Personal her Boiron, not Boiron, what's the name of it? BioGaia probiotic, and the earthly, what's my brain? Elderberry, like elderberry, um, is it called elderberry? Yeah, it's like immune fighter drops. And I have a whole other episode on supplements I give her and why, so I'll link that below. But I brought those with us. I brought travel sound machine, which was huge for in the park, on the beach, doing like naps on the go was really big. So brought that with us. And then I brought her like actual Hatch sound machine for nighttime to make sure we had that. Brought her favorite stuffed animals, not a lot. We brought like 4 of her stuffed animals. Her sleep sack, her Dreamland baby sleep sack, not the weighted one because that's just like way too heavy. We just brought like the regular non-weighted one, and 2 little blankets for her that I was able to like put, because obviously she was saying like a pack and play that they had there. So I like don't love that. So I'm like, okay, I'll put one blanket down like on top of whatever the sheets they have there, and I'll put one blanket on top of her. So I brought those 2 blankets, and then what else did we bring? Oh, like 4 diapers, wipes, snacks, and stuff. Thankfully, we were going to my parents first, so I delivered all of that there, and then just brought with us the stuff that we needed for like the travel day. But I delivered everything there, which was so huge. I did a big Thrive Market order for all her snacks, got all that delivered, snacks for us and stuff too. And then we did like an Amazon Whole Food delivery that next morning for just like other random things that I wanted. If we weren't able to get stuff shipped there, if we were going somewhere we didn't know anybody, I would just do a whole carry-on of like snacks, her diapers, wipes, all that stuff. Or I would do an order like, they could do like the Target shipped, or even on Amazon, like the Whole Foods, whatever, order for that morning to like get stuff delivered there. So you don't have to travel with so much stuff. So that's what we did. And then I think that's everything. I should have like started this episode being like, I'm not a light packer, I'm somewhat type A. So like, if that's your vibe, this could be really helpful for you. If you're just like go fly by the seat of your pants, like not very routine oriented or structured, like this might be way too overwhelming for you. But like this is so helpful for us, and it worked really well. I like being prepared, especially for her. Like I want to have my high quality stuff. I want to make sure that like I have more than enough things for her, like just in case stuff. And I needed some of the just in case stuff. And the thing I didn't have was the thermometer, which now I will always be traveling with that. So those are the things that really helped us travel wise. And just also like realizing too, with like eating out and stuff, it was the first time in her life she was eating non-organic foods. We went out to restaurants for breakfast and stuff. Like most of the time, like I said, when we were staying at the Airbnb, I got food for like our breakfast and lunches. So I was able to make that stuff for her. But dinner, we were eating out at restaurants. It wasn't organic. I didn't give her anything on the Dirty Dozen though. Like I was like, she's not having tomatoes. She's not having strawberries. She's not having blueberries like that. I'll bend on certain things. I'm not bending on that. But I just had to let it go. She was having more pasta than usual. Like she wasn't having her normal nutrition, but I know that she's so supported. She's so healthy. Like it was all good, but I just had to kind of like let go of that stuff sometimes. And also like the routine of it. She wasn't napping all the time. She wasn't napping her normal time. I just kind of had to like roll with it and know that like shit was going to be off for a little while. And we're like just starting to get back into a little bit of a routine, but it's cool. It's fine to get like off of that a little bit and just like enjoy the time and not like stress out over that type of stuff. So it's like prepare what you can prepare, surrender, and release the rest. So those are the tips that I have for you. Let me know if this was helpful for you. Let me know if you like have a question. Maybe I missed something. I tried to like cover all my bases and really talk about the things that helped the most. Obviously, also, of course, I brought her like sunscreen for her, the Babo Botanical sunscreen. I brought her toothpaste, her toothbrush, her lotion, the Babo Botanicals lotion, the Healthy Baby, like the same diapers I use and stuff there, body wash, brought all of that, like brought all of her, like, those types of essentials too. I wasn't using like the hotel things for that. Same for myself. But I was like, that's kind of a given. But anyway, those are my travel tips for you. Let me know if you love this episode. Share this with another toddler parent who might be traveling. Again, I'm no travel expert with the toddlers. Only did this one time, but it really worked out well. And I'm like, we got one under our belt and I'm like ready to go, ready to rock with this. So let me know what you thought. I'm so grateful as always that you're here, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for being here. If you loved this episode and learned something valuable, please share it with a friend who you think would also love it, or post it on social media and tag me so I could personally say thank you for helping me spread this important message. I am beyond grateful to be here with you. So until next time, stay intentional, stay consistent, and always mind your hormones.